Hi, my name is Angus An. I'm the chef owner of Maenam restaurant. We're a Thai restaurant located in Vancouver, British Columbia in beautiful Canada. And today we're making a red curry of duck. And starting from scratch, we're going to make curry paste by hand, and we're going to fry off the curry paste properly in a traditional manner. And we're going to finish off the curry with braised duck legs. So let's start by having a look at our ingredients in our curry paste. It's really essential to have fresh ingredients. We have here one of the more important things, which is fresh galangal. I have also some sliced up ones that we'll use later on. Garlic cloves. I have lemongrass here. Over here we have about a teaspoon worth of shrimp paste, which is a fermented shrimp salted paste. Here we have kaffir lime zest, basically the zest of a kaffir lime. We have here spices mix, basically a little bit of grated nutmeg, cloves, coriander seeds, and white peppercorns. And all this has been already previously toasted. And whenever you're dealing with dry spices, always toast it over medium-low heat until it becomes very aromatic. Here we have soaked chilies. These chilies are basically dry large chilies, which is in Thai, but in the Mexicans actually call these guajilos. You can find these in a lot of Mexican grocers, because I understand there's not a lot of Thai grocers in North America. So you can use the guajillo chilies. And basically we have de-seeded these and soaked them in water overnight. And we have some shallots peeled, fresh, and we have some shallots roasted over a grill until they're cooked. So it's a combination. So basically the technique is very simple, but very essential to have a large stone mortar and pestle. This I bought in Chinatown, but you can pretty much try to find a stone. Do not use the marble ones, because you do want something that has a little bit of friction. Marble was too fine and will not create good paste. Clay ones are too delicate, it will also not be very good. So what I always do when it comes with dry spices, I always start off with the spices. So start in there. The proper technique when dealing with mortar and pestle is not to grind and not to pound up and down, but it's a combination of motions of pounding and grinding at the same time. So my wrist is moving and I'm pounding almost like a pendulum motion. So I'm striking one end of the bowl and it's coming down at the same time. I'm going to add some coarse salt to this. So the spices and the salt will act as an abrasive to all my spices, and it will break down all the likes of the lemongrass, garlic. So it's important not to add too much at the same time. So make sure if you're doing a big recipe, do not add everything together. Go in batches, or else you'll have uneven paste. So very quickly, I just roughly pound that into kind of a coarse paste. I'm going to add a little bit more things, like my galangal slices, the shallots, and the shallots both fresh and raw. I'm going to pound that again. Right about this time, I'm going to add some of our soaked chilies. I'm going to add 3 whole chilies that's been de-seeded and soaked. The chilies itself will act as a binder that will kind of combine everything that's in the curry paste, and also obviously give it the obvious red color. The skins of the chilies are actually quite tough, so I'm actually just cutting it apart so that we do not have very large chunks of chili skin in our curry paste. Then put that in there. And put a little bit more salt to help break down the skin fibers. Again, be careful with the salt because the shrimp paste is quite salty. At this point, you're just trying to be even. The key thing to do this in a mortar and pestle over a blender is because the blender will extract too much liquid out of these ingredients, and your paste will become watery rather than a proper paste-like consistency. And because of the contents of water, your wet curry paste will not fry as nice as one that is done naturally in a stone mortar and pestle. At the end, we're going to add our kaffir lime zest. You want to get your paste as fine as you can, making sure there's no large pieces of shallots or anything. The paste is pretty much the basis and the flavor base of a lot of Thai food. And then the next step here is now to take this paste and fry it off properly in a what we call a cracked cream or separated coconut cream, to really caramelize each and every individual ingredients that we put in there, such as galangal, garlic, lemongrass, to really achieve maximum flavor out of this curry paste. To make what we call cracked cream is really simple. Take coconut cream. If you were to use canned coconut, open the cans, take the top layer, the thick part of the cream, and reduce that down. Do not boil too hard as it'll burn. Kind of medium simmer until it separates, and what you'll get is this. You'll see the clear coconut oil that separates from what I call coconut solids. This is what we call cracked cream. And this here, by doing so, we have eliminated water content, and which water prohibits us from frying things properly. So now we have next to zero water, and we're going to fry off our curry paste properly. So we're going to turn that on. So once your cracked cream has come up to a simmer again, be careful because it does get quite hot and it will spit and burn. So I'm going to put the paste carefully in there. We're going to dissolve the paste into the cream. Don't worry about the oil that's coming out. That's just nice pure coconut oil, which is really good for you. Traditional Thai recipes doesn't really have time frames or quantities. They use a lot of their intuition when they cook. So a recipe might say fry this curry paste until aromatic instead of saying fry for 15 minutes. So the cook will really need to trust their senses when they cook. So basically what we're doing is the same thing. We need to fry this curry paste until it's dark, rich, and aromatic in flavor. The nice chilies we put in there will only get darker in color, and that's what you want to get as well. It's another sign of if you're going in the right direction. As soon as it starts to catch a little bit on the bottom, I'm scraping it off and mixing it back in. This will ultimately give you the best smell in your curry because you're lightly caramelizing the bottom. But if you let it go too long, it will catch and burn. Pay close attention to the way it smells as it develops in your pan, and that's a key thing to look for rather than likes of time frames. Remember, we did not put any oil in here with just coconut cream reduced down until it's separated. However, if your coconut cream is not fatty enough and does not have enough oil, you could always add a little bit because that oil really helps caramelizing the flavors that we need to achieve. So it's really neat to, when you pay close attention to the way your dish is developing and smell. Earlier on we were smelling just the raw aromatics like the garlic and mango. Now we're starting to smell a lot of the dry spices that we put in, such as cloves, the coriander seeds, and even white peppercorns has a distinct smell that's releasing right now. So I would say we're about 80% there, and when you're about 80% there, it's good to add a little bit of fresh palm sugar. But be careful when you add the sugar that it will start to burn if you don't be careful. So I'm going to add about half a tablespoon of sugar. Going to stir that in there. Let it get nice and dark again. We have tamarind water. Basically, it's tamarind pulp that we've been soaked, and then we pass it through a food mill. So resulting is just tamarind water that we basically season our food with. So this curry here, I like it to be kind of a little bit sweet and sour. So we're going to put quite a bit of the tamarind. Remember, once you put your tamarind and fish sauce in, that water content will stop your curry from frying further. So at this point, you're basically saying that this curry is ready to go and ready to be deglazed, is what people would say. We're going to add a little bit of fish sauce. And remember, we have a lot of coconut cream in there already. We don't necessarily have to put too much more. So what I have here for liquid is I have duck legs that's been braised in coconut milk. So instead of throwing away the braising liquid, we're going to use the braising liquid to let out the curry, which will reinforce the flavors of the duck and the curry, because in the braising liquid I have light aromatics of everything that's been in the curry paste, just reinforced in the braising process. So we're going to let out that. So once you start letting it out, you can add some fresh tomatoes, cherry tomatoes that's been cut up. We also have some lunch pearl onions and some lychees that we have. Some kaffir lime leaves that's just going to be basically bruised up. That'll give it some more aromatics. So you want to baste your duck so it doesn't dry out and so that it cooks in the curry a little bit too. At this point, I'm pretty happy with this consistency. And then towards the end, we're going to add some finely sliced kaffir lime leaves. Now, kaffir lime leaves are a lot like bay leaves in texture. They're very, very hard. So what we do is we tear off the spine, the center, and we're going to do a very fine chiffonade, almost as fine as you can. You know, in our case, we would go basically hair fine. So then we will line everything up, fold it into a nice little package. And cut that into hair fine. This way, whoever's eating kaffir lime leaf will not have to have problems picking it out because it's so tough. Okay, and again, when you're seasoning with that or putting into your dish, do not throw the whole thing in there because it is so fine that it will stick together, almost look like a hairball. So what you want to do is you want to kind of just let it fall back a little bit so they do not stick together. And stir that into the curry. Kaffir lime leaves are so fragrant. As soon as you add it in there, you'll smell this almost perfume-like fragrance, which is a great thing. We'll go a little bit more. Again, if you cut it fine enough, it should just disappear into the curry. And then the idea is these whole ones that we can pick out later. So you have layers of the kaffir lime flavor. Now, to finish, we have some picked Thai basil that we're just going to be stirring into the curry. In the very, very last step, what I like to do is to just give a little bit of that wow factor in terms of smell. If you can, fresh kaffir limes. We're just going to get a little bit of the zest. In the very last minute, finely chop the zest. And utilizing the nice rich aromas that are almost perfume-like, we're going to throw it in there just before we serve. So the customers will get that in-your-face kaffir lime smell. And there you go, that's our red duck curry. Curry paste is a very time-consuming thing to do. Now, a lot of times it's worthwhile to spend a little bit more time and make enough, and it keeps rather well, especially ones that have shrimp paste in it, because the shrimp paste itself has high salt content, which acts as a preservative. If you make enough shrimp curry paste, you could actually probably keep it in the fridge for up to a week and up to the freezer for probably a couple of months. But I recommend making enough and putting in the fridge. We make our curry paste in very big quantities, and we make it twice a week. So sometimes we'll make it as much as 20 kilos twice this week. So obviously when we were going through 20 kilos of curry paste twice a week, and we have about 4 curries on the menu, it's very difficult to make them in a small mortar and pestle. So we have here a stone mill that I've imported. So here you obviously funnel in all your ingredients that's been chopped up. Going through here, it has a small blade that kind of roughly chops up the ingredients further. And here we have 2 mills, stone, that will mill the ingredients without grinding it into a fine paste. So here is the secret machine that we use to produce higher volumes of curry paste. This is actually a very small version of what they use in Thailand. In Thailand they have these mills that I've seen. The mills itself are big as probably a car's wheel.